What's up guys, it's Smith here from GamersHeroes.com, and today I want to share with you my tips and tricks for Throne and Liberty and some key mistakes I really wish I'd avoided early on, which really would have helped with my in-game progress. Let's get to it. So first up, I want to talk about the Lifograph Book. Now this is actually one of my favourite features in the game. It really puts value on gear that you would otherwise just render trash in any other MMO, but this is a really useful feature that you can use wrong. So basically how it works is you can donate items to the system, and when you get a certain set of those items, they will be destroyed and you will get an item back. So right now I've dedicated both of these to this particular one here. They're gone now. When I get this one, if I put that in, I will also get these items here. Now this works really well as a bonus reward, but do not just throw all of your gear in here. There are better uses for your gear than simply throwing them into the Lifograph Book. Now if we look at the gear I've got here, the trait system is quite a complex system, so I'm not going to go into full details on that. We do have a very detailed guide. Check the pinned comment below, I'll put it down there. Traits are really, really valuable. They are the best way to strengthen your character endgame past getting all the epic gear. So you do not want to throw away items that might have a good use for your traits later in the game. You can get rid of the greens and the commons perfectly fine. When it comes to blues and purples, the Lifograph Book will always be there. You lose nothing by saving the item. Just save it until you get towards the end game, you understand your character a bit more, and you know what traits you're going to aim for. Now, let's discuss contracts. Contracts are a vital endgame progression route for you and your character, so you do not want to blow these very early. You'll arrive at this location around level 10 to 15, I think. It's been a while. The Starlight Observatory Ruins. This is where the game introduces you to the contract system, and gives you a tutorial on it. It does force you to pick up a couple. I don't remember exactly how many. Obviously, do whatever you have to do to progress through the story, but then do not blow through these contracts, okay? So you can see in the bottom right there, you get 60 contract rights is the cap that you can have. They replenish, I think, like every day you get 10 or 15 back. So if you're at 60, by all means, use a few. Otherwise, do not use them. All of these early rewards are pretty useless once you get towards the late game, and it's not too much of a grind. So you want to save these contracts until you become a much higher level. Ideally, I think like late 40s, early 50s, when you get to any of the end game contract locations, such as the Watcher's Post, the Pure Light Tower, or the Canina Village over there, I think is also one. So that's what you want to focus on. Wait until you're high level. Only use them if they are at the cap. Otherwise, you just want to wait until you get to 50 and then use them. Another important thing, when you pick these up, pick up one at a time. So find one you like, pick it up, and then refresh. This allows you to get a complete list of new contracts. This is really good because you can have a chance of getting one of the purple loot bags towards the later stages of the game. So wait for your contracts towards the end of the game. Pick up one, refresh the page. Pick up two, refresh the page, and so forth. Okay, now let's talk about the importance of tagging monsters. You can see here I'm in a very public area. There's a group of monsters around us. We've got yellow monsters, red monsters, and grey monsters. Yellow monsters means they're not going to aggro you. They'll just sit there and chill unless you do something. Grey means they have been tagged, and red means they will aggro you on approach. Now this is important because a tagged enemy is belonging to another player, so it restricts certain actions you can do. So if I killed these tagged enemies right now, I would not be eligible for any of their loot. Right, so what a lot of people do, they'll run around with a group by themselves, tag a bunch of enemies and bring them to the group. That's whatever. What you need to worry about is when you're doing contracts or specific missions that have drops involved. So let's say you've got a mission to kill 8 skeleton knights or kill 4 skeleton soldiers and loot their shields. You do not have to tag these monsters to do it. So you can come into an area like this where everyone's doing it. You can all farm them at the same time, and you can all get the crest rewards. The only thing that stops you getting is the loot the monster drops anyway, and most of the time, that's not overly valuable. Bosses don't work the same. Bosses are not tagged, and anyone that does damage is eligible for the rewards. Typically, the more damage you do, the better rewards you can get. Next up, we want to talk about exploration codexes. Now, whenever you get to a new region, so right now, I'm in the Akidu Valley. This is an endgame region, but this works for every new region you get to. The Nesting Grounds, the Ursula Fields, the Goldenrod Pastures. Every time you come here, on the right-hand side, you will get an exploration codex available, which basically tells you all the little mini side quests you have in the area. Now, you can just complete these by accident, but go into this menu here, and you will get a complete list of these quests. You can then go into the quests and add them as a favourite. As you can see there, these will then appear on your screen and your map. So while you're in the area doing the main story anyway, always focus on these exploration contracts at the same time, because you will get lots of rewards and they sort of work together to complete big books later on, so you can get even more bonuses. Next up, we are going to talk about the Abyssal Contract Coins. This is another area of the game that can really screw you up early on if you blow them all too early. Now, if you look top right hand corner, that's my total amount there. I've got 9,960s. These are a currency you earn in a myriad of ways throughout the entire game, but they are spent passively whenever you go into a dungeon. And I saw a lot of players doing this when I was leveling up. So this is one of the many dungeons you can find. There's the Ant's Nest here. There's the Silas Abyss here, I think. And then these are all over the place. You'll do them a lot towards the end of the game. But I saw a lot of people coming into the Ant's Nest early on and farming a lot of stuff here. So the Abyssal Contract coins, basically, if you're in this dungeon, every kill you have will spend some of these coins and in turn will increase your chances of loot, give you more money and experience, which is all good stuff. But these coins are hard to get later on. Not so much hard to get, but they're very, very quick to burn through. So you want to save as many as you can until the end game where you're going to be getting the best rewards per coin rather than blowing them all early on while you're leveling up. Next up, I want to touch on cooking briefly. Cooking in this game is quite strange because a lot of the leveling is restricted to items that you are not able to farm. So for example, when you first start, a lot of the recipes, almost all of them in fact, are going to require things like eggs, honey, and golden rye. Now, if you ever plan to get into the cooking at all, scoop these up every single day. You will definitely use them in leveling up. There does come a part where you can sort of hit a certain cooking level and then you can farm the ingredients yourself, which is much easier. We've got a guide up for that on the channel. Otherwise, during the early levels of cooking, you are going to need these ingredients. So if you plan to cook, even if you're not doing it right at the start, pick these up every day and it will really help you out as you level up your cooking later. Last but not least, I want to talk to you about familiarizing yourself with the events and how they work. This is probably a lot easier to access on the PC. If you are playing on the PlayStation, you hold L2 and you press triangle. This gives you access to this top menu up here. You then go to the content schedule. This will list all of the different events typically available in your area and what time they start. Now, it's important to understand the different versions of these events because it can get you in a bit of a pickle. So, for example, we've got peace events here and we've got conflict events. Conflict events occur and basically everybody in the area is going to kill each other. It's PvP based. You've got large groups of guilds there that will sit there and just farm other players for fun. So these are a little bit brutal. If you need to do one of these, all you've got to do is run in, slap the boss a couple of times, and you're guaranteed a little chest out of it. You don't get a lot, but if you see these, jump on them, do 1 or 2 hits against the boss, and leave and go and do other stuff. You'll get a mail in-game with the box, and you also get the achievement for defeating the boss, which can give you additional rewards as well. Peace is fine. You can go and do the peace ones whenever. And the cooperative ones are dynamic events made mostly for guilds and stuff like that, but it works pretty much the same as peace. The Gigantorite is another one. This is involved in a lot of quests. This guy it's a giant sky whale. He flies all over the place. When he pops up, if you have any quests relating to him, there's a couple of places you can get on board. The earliest one is probably the Starlight Observatory. As I said, there are other places to board the Gigantorite, or the sky whale as it's lovingly called. This is probably the easiest one because you'll have access to this area very early in the game. You can teleport back whenever you need to. And he takes about 15 minutes to get here. So if he spawns in the game, if the event is 7 PM, he will be at this location by about 7:15 PM. Okay, so there are a couple of quests where you've got to use him. I just wanted to throw that out there so you knew where to go. So there you go, guys. Hopefully you found some of this useful. If you did, like and subscribe. If you didn't, feel free to leave an insulting comment. We take all feedback here very seriously, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care now.